Hello and welcome to this final part with cards, with new cards in this series of me building my own Magic set. Uh, I guess this is part 20, and I will be doing an extra episode about the things I've learned during this process. But today we're going to be looking at the colorless cards in the set, and this was actually harder than any of the colored cards. Um, because you obviously want to make interesting cards, but at the same time, when I'm talking about colorless cards, you don't actually want to make them that interesting, which is weird uh, for me to say, because the role is often just to just to basically fill in the blanks. Like you're just looking for that extra creature in your deck. You need, for whatever reason, you feel like you need an extra creature, like you have a lot of equipment or whatever. So what you do is, you can use a creature to do exactly that, like artifact creature to do that, or like in your set, if you have some things you might want to look at, like I put in some ways of fixing your mana here, because there's no dual lands on any level. So I put them here. Something like, if you really want to fix your mana for a third color to splash something, then there are a couple of cards available for that specific purpose, but they're not good. They're not like specifically very good. They're like things that you will play if you have to. But on the other hand, of course, when you go into higher rarities, it's not that simple anymore. You can't just put subpar cards there. They have to be, as the power level goes up, as the rarity goes up, the power level should go up as well. So but at the same time, what I don't want to do, for like with rares, for example, is that it's automatic that you pick, like if you're drafting a pack and you open it and you see that there's an artifact card, there's a colorless artifact in there at rare, it shouldn't be obvious that you have to take that card. That just shouldn't happen, if you ask me. Like, so I tried to come up with ways of making the artifacts powerful, but needing something to be around them to make them powerful. So, it is another problem. Like, if you've gone to a certain direction in your draft, then it becomes much more likely that you'll get some of these rares, if no one else in the pod has done the same. So it's an interesting balancing act. However, I do sort of like my designs on the rares, not necessarily that much on the. Oops, what did I do? Oh, but not necessarily the commons and uncommons. I think I have good ideas there, but I'm not sure. Well, let's just take a look at it. Let's just talk about them one at a time. So, starting with the commons. First, reprint Rune Servitor. So again, this is one of those things that if you need something to fill your creature curve, this could easily be it. It's a 2-drop. There's often a dearth of 2-drops. There's not enough of them. So yeah, this is something that you can play early on and maybe stay alive for a little bit longer because of that. So it's a 2-mana 2/2 artifact construct, and when it dies, each player scries 2. So definitely not powerful, but something that maybe you would be a little embarrassed to play it's clearly a sign that something's gone wrong in your draft, but at the same time, it is at least something. Of course, the problem here is that there isn't a lot of there's a lot of surveil in the set, so Scry isn't going to be very powerful. But on the other hand, if your opponent is playing a lot of surveil, then giving them the Scry isn't going to be that bad if you're not surveilling a lot yourself. Okay, then Scout's Familiar, Artifact Rat, 2 mana, 1/2. And when ETBs, you may search a library of a basic land card and put it on top of your library. So definitely weaker than Pilgrim's Eye or what's it called? Well, the one from Dominaria, 3 mana, 1/2 that finds you a basic land card in your hand. So again, this is very underpowered card. But if you want to splash, this is the card that can do it for you. Although at the same time, if you're finding a card and putting it on top of your library, you're also pushing the card you want to play with that land further down the library. Well, one card, but anyway. Yeah, then Sodikite, Artifact Vehicle, 2 mana, 0/1 with crew 1. And whenever card name attacks, look at the top card of your library. If it's a land card, you may put it into the battlefield tapped. Well, that might actually be too powerful. Like not too powerful, but have too much of a high-end ceiling. The floor is obviously low as well. So if you're playing 17 cards, you're drawing in your deck, you're making land drop 42.5% of the time. So not always, and you are investing in this card in 2 ways. You have to play it. You have to, well, 3 ways, obviously. You have to spend mana to it. You also need to play a creature, and you need to tap that creature in able to do this. So it's not powerful, but the ceiling is definitely there. If you can get 1 land with this, then it's more than paid for itself. But yeah, I don't know. I think I just like the Karvek. I guess I should try to pronounce it as someone from Scandinavian countries. I guess Karvek. Yeah, let's go with that. So in Kaldheim, which did the same thing, except that it's a 3 mana 4/4, and I think the crew ability is 3. Not sure. Anyway, I like that more than most people. So I wanted to have something similar here, except that this isn't in any way aggressive. It's just very slow and unreliable ramp. At least attacking with a 4/4 early on in the game does something, but even if it doesn't hit. But anyway, if you're desperate for fixing, then there's one way. Then improvised Thurible. So Thurible is I didn't know how to even try to find this thing or what it is. So you sometimes see this in movies. I think Catholics use it, and I think in Finland, I think the Orthodox church uses this. So it's the thing that dispenses incense into the air. You like have this. I think there's a container in which you burn the incense, and then you have these, and then you have these chains, and then you swing it around to make the incense smoke spread around. Hopefully I'm not talking completely. Hopefully I'm not completely wrong here. Not an expert on religious, what is I call it, devices. Anyway, hopefully I managed to find the right thing here. But anyway, improvised Thurible. So yeah, obviously they didn't have one. But anyway, so artifact equipment, 2 mana, equip 1, creature gains +1/+1, and has whenever this creature attacks, surveil 1. I don't know what the flavor here is. I just wanted to. I guess this is an amalgamation of different needs. I wanted to have an equipment which lets you surveil, and I wanted to have some religious thing. And then I added, if you control another creature which shares a creature type with the equipped creature, it gains +0/+1. You know, a little bit of tribal synergy, which is something that I put a lot of in these cards. Then Terramorphic expands land. So yeah, that's same as Evolving Wilds. If you're not familiar with it, it's used much less than Evolving Wilds, but it's around. Okay, so then the uncommons. So here, okay, I wanted to have an artifact that would let you draw cards, and I wanted to have an artifact that lets you mess with other people's graveyards. There isn't much in the way of like graveyard synergies, except that some cards look at some cards are looking at the number of cards in the graveyard, and then like rare cards that can do something with. And okay, there's an uncommon like reanimation card, but just in case I wanted something that can mess with the graveyard. Obviously, the problem is that you're not going to play this main deck. So if you're playing like best of one, then this wouldn't matter in any way. But yeah, so it's Walking Furnace, artifact construct, 2 mana, 1/1, tap to exile target card from any graveyard, and then tap exile 5 cards from your graveyard, draw a card. So you can, well, like putting surveilling cards into your graveyard can become an investment with this card. So yeah, so I guess maybe you could put this into your main deck if you surveil quite a bit. I don't know. Then makeshift barricades. This is largely based on what's it called? I don't remember. There's a card in Crimson Vow or something, like it gives all your opponent's creatures -1/-0, but if you take a certain amount of damage in a turn, it gets destroyed. Okay, so this makes it barricades, so like similar flavor, but very different take on it. So it's an artifact wall, 0/4, and you can exile 5 cards from your graveyard and target your opponent's control, gain -1/-0 until end of turn. I guess I should. I'm missing the. So, and activate this ability only once per turn. Not that you're going to have that many cards in your graveyard anyhow, but still, just wanted to do that. And then Relic Vial, again, wanted to have religiously themed things here. So it's an artifact, 3 mana. It's a reprint from the last Zendikar set. So what it does is 2 and a tap. You can sacrifice a creature to draw a card, and if you control a cleric, then anytime a creature you control dies, you gain 1 life, and its opponent loses 1 life. So it's a cleric thing. I was thinking that I might want another, like more of a generic tribal thing, but also I felt that it's somewhat important to have cards, a card, at least 1 card specifically for the the Order of the Forsaken and the I can't remember the red one's name. Anyway, the clerics in the set, like to give them, to make them at least a little bit more visible. Then the rares, which were again these probably were the hardest part of the whole set. These were the cards I spent most time thinking about. So first we have Mechanical Infiltrator Artifact Construct, 1 and a 1/1, and when a card name ETPs, choose a creature type. I guess this should be as, so it has one. It has been chosen when it has entered the battlefield. And whenever another creature of that type, of the chosen type enters the battlefield under control, card name becomes a copy of that creature until end of turn, except that it's still a construct on top of its other types and is base 1/1. So this is just, you know, a generic a generic tribal card. It can be basic. It can be of any tribe, but it's of that tribe for limited time only, because even though you have chosen a type, it's not that type until you play a creature of that type, and then it's only that type until end of turn. But yeah, you can come up with various various synergies with this. Like it can get evasion, it can get certain possibly like other abilities that might be important to you, and even and in some cases it's important to have more of some, like certain cards look at like the number of clerics you have. So in that sense, yeah, so it can have synergies, but it's hard to use, and that's why it's a rare. Then the Portal Project. So the flavor here is that, well, I was thinking that maybe this should be a mythic, but I decided against it. But okay, again, quite a few needs here. First of all, I wanted the wizards to have something that they can like, because they're trying to figure out how to return to their old worlds. So this is what they have. They don't know how the whole walking between worlds thing works, but they have a device that can open portals into the blind eternities. And so what it does is when they're opening this portal to blind eternities, they're drawing in lands, or well, they're drawing in stuff from the blind eternities, and that's stuck there, or it's on its way here anyhow. So, but obviously you can't escape this place. But anyway, it's artifact 3 mana, and so here's the other thing I wanted to do. I wanted to have a sub game. Like there is many, like there's many different kinds of sub games in Magic, like Planeswalkers, for example, create a sub game when you play a Planeswalker, because your opponent might possibly want to destroy it, and it becomes its own problem of you keeping it alive and them destroying it. Obviously, there's so many ways of just destroying them these days, which is good, because they've been pushed so much that you need to be able to kill them immediately. And even then, if you are able to kill them immediately, in general, in general, you're still losing something. But anyway, I wanted to create a sub game. So each player may pay an extra land on each of their turns. Whenever a player plays a second land during their turn, put a charge card on card name. If there are more, then if there are 5 or more counters, well, yeah, charge counters on card name, sacrifice it, and the player who played the last land draws 3 cards. So the sub game here is that you now need to think about when you want to play your cards. play your lands. So do you want to play your lands now? Like, okay, so this is going to cause weird situations. Like if your opponent has 2 cards in hand, do you assume that they're lands now if this is in play? Are they waiting for the right opportunity to play those 2 lands so they can draw the 3 cards? Or are they just bluffing so that you won't play your lands to put the 4th counter on this? And this can take a while because, well, 10 lands need to be played for this to trigger, so it can take a while. Also, there's the other point of view of like, okay, so if this gets played on turn 3, now do you play your lands out to be able to play something big so that you can just crush your opponent before they can use this to their advantage? So yeah, it creates these. So yes, I like this design. I don't think. Well, it's more like I like this idea. I don't necessarily like this design I came up with, because it does cause situations where it's going to be difficult to figure out what you need to do, and especially if you're playing like Commander, it can be quite difficult to tell when you need to play in certain way. But again, I do like the idea of having something like this within the game. Is this the right way to do it? I don't know, but yeah, here we are. Then, okay, this is another very weird design. So I wanted to have like a bigger vehicle. This isn't still very big because it's a 3-mana 3-3, but and I also wanted to have like there's in so many sets there is this one card that 3-mana card that taps for 1 mana and then usually has some other abilities. So I wanted to make one of those as well, but I also decided I want to push it because Manalith just isn't cutting it anymore. So what I did, give it this very weird text. So it's a vehicle, and it's flying because it's a sprinkler ship. The idea here is that, well, it sprinkles your lands so that they can produce more. So whenever card name attacks, target lands equal to the number of times the crew ability of card name has been activated this turn produces an extra mana of color of your choice this turn. So you can, the idea here is that you can crew it multiple times if you just have those creatures available. But it does mean that you can turn any creature with power 2 or more into mana elf this turn. Yeah, but obviously at the same time, if you have a like 6/6, it's still going to be producing 1 mana, and yeah, it does mean that you can have those turns where you produce huge amounts of mana. You can, yeah, I guess the wording is a little bit off here as well. So basically, this allows you to target the same land. No, it doesn't actually. No, it doesn't. No, I was wrong about that. Anyway, yeah, you still need to have the lands as well, enough lands to do it. But yeah, you can basically double the mana output if all of your lands would otherwise tap for 1 mana. But obviously that requires a lot of tapping a lot of creatures. Then again, you might have lots of 1/1s hanging around. Then Signal Horn And this goes back to the idea of having these tribal artifacts that don't specifically name the tribe they work with. So as card name enters the battlefield, choose a creature type, and it's equip 3 or equip to chosen creature type 1. All other creatures sharing a creature type with the equipped creature gain vigilance and +0/+1. So yeah, worth noting, you can choose a creature type and you can equip it to a creature of other type, and then in that case, because it checks for creatures that share a creature type with the equipped creature, not the creature type you've chosen, and those creatures get the bonuses. So yeah, I don't know, probably made it a little bit complicated. And now that I'm looking at it, is it too, because it's 1 mana, is it too cheap? Because in limited, vigilance can be a powerful ability, but then again, it's a rare. And vigilance and buffing the toughness is a combination that can be, well, very difficult to deal with. Well, okay, 2 mana. That might be still too little. I don't know. Hard to say. But it is a rare, so it won't come up. If it's too powerful, it won't come up that often in limited anyhow. So yeah, but that's it for the cards. And again, I'll be doing another one of these about all the stuff I've learned during this process of coming up with, I don't remember how many cards there are, like 250, around that number. But yeah, thanks for listening, and feel free to do the YouTube stuff. And well, I'll see you for the last part. And now I'm wasting everyone's time because I'm not editing this anyhow.